Hello students, today we will talk about musical instruments in sculptures in the early times from 2nd century to 7th century in India. Indian music has a hoary past, closely related with the Hindu religion. Its origin center around the chanting of the Rig Veda and the Samaveda. This theoretical knowledge and understanding of the Indian music has been handed down from generation to generation as a legacy and is preserved in the description of the early Sanskrit literature and in the form of the ancient sculptures and murals. The artists of the ancient India, while depicting the life scene of the Buddha, Jataka stories extra in their reliefs, had their mind on the contemporary things around them. The antiquities of Harappa have been examined to understand the musical instruments of the Indus people by the scholars. The Vedic, Brahminical and epic literature throw light on the musical instruments of those periods. The work of Panini provides the detailed study of the musical instruments. The Jainas and the Buddhist sources have enough material on the subject under study. Bharata Natya Shastra describes a variety of musical instruments of the Ekvasya period. The Mahabhashya, Sukranitisara, Marichkatika are the valuable treasures of the musical instruments of the Kushan period. The Manasara, Kadambari extra give ample information of the musical instruments of the Vakataka Gupta period. In the Rig Veda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda, we get references to the musical instruments like Bakura, Nati, Godha, Karkari, Dondubi, Agahati, Vanisi, Garkara and Vadana. Brihadanayaka Upanishads refers to a number of musical instruments, and the Aitreya, Aranyaka parts of Veena are explained. They include siras, ambana, tantra, vadana. In the ages of the sutras, both vocal and instrumental music were very popular. On the Mahavrata festival, numerous musical instruments were played. The instruments like Khanda Veena, Goda Veena, Karkara Kas Veena, Taluka Veena, Tamvala Veena, Pinchachola and Ghataka Karkuri, Alabu and Agati were all known. The Kathaka Graha Sutra narrates that bride should play during the pre-weddings rite on the musical instruments like Nadi, Tanuva, Panva, Mridanga, Manava. Graha Sutra describes that the harp should be played when bride sprinkled under the yoke of a chariot. The epics Ramayana and the Mahabharata include the musical instruments like Madhuko, Pataha, Vamsa, Mridanga, Pannava, Dandima, Adambara and Khalasa. Patanjali in his Mahabhashya mentions numerous musical instruments. The people of the Jataka period had keen ear for the music. The master magicians like Gutila, Musila and Saga lived in that period. Veena was very popular. The Sukraniti considers Vadana as one of the 64 kalas. The poet Kalidas was familiar with all kinds of musical instruments classified into 4 groups. Manasara, the ancient text, and Harshacharita of Bana have numerous references of these instruments. The depiction of the bow shaped Veena in the early Indian art are prolific. It occurred in the reliefs of Sanchi either as solo instrument or an accompaniment to dancing or song or music party. The best example of the harp as a solo instrument can be seen in the panel illustrating Indra's visit. In this, the minstrel Panchka Sika is shown with a harp held horizontally with the tailpiece in his right hand, while in the left hand, fingernails are playing on the strings. This process of sounding else the strings with the fingernails was known as sarana. The harp has a curved board stretching into an upstanding curved arm terminating into a round head. In the scene portraying Mara's army, a demon is shown playing a harp in the accompaniment of dance and songs. He holds the harp horizontally on his left thigh. He is playing the harp with his left hand fingernails while singing. The strings are stretching one over the other from the arm to the belly, passing through the holes provided in the hollow surface of the belly. The harp has a curved board extending into an upstanding curved arm with round head. The stringed harp was played upon in the music parties, as is known from the scene depicting the 6 Deva Lokas. Here Veena player is a female magician and appears 4 times. The harp has been 7 strings. Another example of 7-stringed Veena occurs in the scene representing the episode of Naga Muchilinda. A female magician is shown playing the Veena and the chords are being plucked by her right hand by means of kona. At Bharut, also the harp occurs either as a solo instrument or an accompaniment to dancing. A lotus nymph holds the harp in his hand. One can easily see the 7 strings of the harp. The harp is shown as a solo instrument in the relief of Indra Salagoha and Anabhuta Jataka. In the panel representing Indra Salagoha, the minstrel Panchashika appears with a bow-shaped harp. In the scene portraying unplugging of the nymph by Mara to tempt the Buddha, the harps are being played in the accompaniment of dance. The harps are shown in the lap and the chords of Veena are being plucked by their right hand by means of a kona. So another example of bow-shaped harp in the accompaniment of dance can be seen in the bas-relief portraying the Vijayanta Palace and the Sudhamma Hall of the Gods of the 33. Here a female magician is shown as playing harp. It is noticeable that the representation of harp in the Bharut sculptures are comparatively less to that of the representations in the Sanchi reliefs. At Amravati, the harp appears either as a solo instrument or in the accompaniment dancing or music parties. In a scene in which monks and laity are known worshipping Buddha as a pillar of fire, here a male magician plays a harp and it is made to sling from the right shoulder. He is playing the harp with his right hand fingers. In one more panel, here the harp is shown as a solo instrument in the hands of a male magician. It is seen held in horizontal position and is made to dangle from the right shoulder by means of a strap. The strings pass through the holes in the hollow surface of the belly. In the representation of Mahantu Jataka, 2 lady magicians are shown playing the harp with the konas in the accompaniment of other musical instruments like conches, drums, etc. In the scenes of the celebrations and festivities, a lady magician plays on a harp which is slanting in position. The chords are being plucked by her right hand by means of kona. The strings are stretching one over the other from the arm to the belly. The bow-shaped veena occurs in the Nagarjuna Kunda more than once. In a panel, Sagata and Naga of the Mango Fairy, a female is shown holding a harp in a slanting position with the tailpiece in her left hand. The harp as a solo instrument can be seen in the scene when Buddha visited Indra and the minstrel Panchashikha. This string harp was also played upon in the procession to the accompaniment of dance, as is known from the panel depicting two bodhisattvas descending from the heaven in the form of the white elephant. The veena player is a god. This bow-shaped veena is very interesting. The harp is slinging by means of a leather strap from his left shoulder. The bow-shaped veena occurs in the Gandhara sculptures at many places. In one scene, the harpist Panchashikha is shown with a harp held in a standing position on the right thigh. The plectrum cone held in his right hand is lifted, suggesting his action, while the left hand fingers are softly playing on the strings. The harp is used to supplement to a song. It has 4 strings. The bow-shaped veena appears either as a solo instrument or an accompaniment to dancing or music. At Mathura, the best example of the bow-shaped harp can be seen in the sculpture portraying the music party at Namisha's feet. A female magician plays upon a harp with her left hand fingers. It is a Pancha Tatra veena. Guttir type of veena or lute gets its representation only once in the relief of Sanchi. Here, Buddha is shown returning to his native town. 2 magicians are shown with guitar type of veenas. They have spear-shaped resonators and a straight neck. They have small pegs. The magician's right hand fingers play and strings while the left hand is adjusting the tuning. Here the instruments are in the accompaniment of royal procession. At Amravati, the representation of guitar appears in the sculptures of later period. In one scene, guitar is being played by a male magician. It has 3 small pegs. It has pear-shaped resonator and the straight neck. The sculpture representing music and dance party also represents a guitar. At Nagarjuna Kunda, this kind of veena gets its depiction twice in the reliefs. In a panel, the transportation of the head dressed to heaven reveals a guitar type of veena being played upon by a god amidst the band of magicians. Guitar as a solo instrument comes from the panel illustrating the night before renunciation on an inscribed frieze slab. A female attendant is shown holding a guitar. In Gandhara sculptures, the guitar is less represented. The panel illustrating family drinking scene of 5 figures from Harda reveals a lady magician playing upon a guitar in a musical entertainment. At Ajanta, there are many illustrations of guitar type of veenas with round or oval boards, probably of wooden and a straight neck. Sambuke, a triangular stringed instrument. It has its representation only in the Gandhara reliefs. A toilet tray revealing crowded drinking scene portrays a woman playing upon a triangular stringed instrument. In this case, it has a pointed end, and while playing, this pointed end stands downwards. This instrument can be identified as sambuka, a triangular stringed instrument. Here, the woman sculptured in the relief is a foreigner, wearing a foreign dress and holding a foreign instrument. The straight-bowed veena is very rare in the early sculptures. A solitary representation of this type occurs in the Nagarjuna Kunda sculptures. This panel illustrating the Nativity and the 7 steps illustrates this example. A standing female attendant is seen playing upon it. She is keeping the veena aslant on her left shoulder and playing it with her left hand fingernails. It has a narrow string board and the strings are stretched almost half of the entire length of the lute. It is devoid of any pegs. It reveals some similarity to the modern tambura. Single-stringed veena or the guitar type of veena occurs frequently in the sculptures of the Palla dynasty. A waisted drum, narrower in the middle than at the ends and little longer than it is wide, is seen on the Indian sculptures, 2nd century BC. The early Indian sculptures represent many drums, of which a majority are concert drums. Tabular drums can be classified as Akya Mridanga is depicted more than once in Sanchi. The scene illustrating Mara's army reveals a mridanga on the lap of a demon. Ankya or Dhava mridangas at Bharut can be seen with the Ankya mridangas played by a single person. In a panel illustrating employment of the nymphs by Mara to tempt the Buddhas, a lady magician is shown playing both the mridangas. In the panel revealing Vijayanta Palace and Sudharma Hall of the Gods of 39, the magicians playing both the instruments. In Amravati, too, both types of mridangas were quite common in Mandhutu Jatka and Prince Siddhartha in his harem. These were in perfect rhythm, in tune to other musical instruments engaged in the music party. Nagarjuna Kunda, the panel illustrating the last before renunciation, reveals a mridanga bang played upon by a female attendant. At Gandhara, the representation of Akya mridanga in the sculptures are available. The panel illustrating life in the palace reveals 2 mridangas being played by a lady. So, Alikya mridanga at Sanchi, the scene representing the Naga Mucha Linga episode, depicts a mridanga on the lap of a female who is playing it with her left hand, and the right hand is kept over the mridangas. The representation of Alikya mridanga in the Amravati sculptures is quite simply realistic. In a panel, a lady is shown embracing both types of mridangas. Or Dhava mridanga can be seen more than once at Sanchi. Mara's army represents a mridanga kept on the ground vertically. 6 Devaloka saves to contain Urdhva mridanga 4 times. An example of Urdhva mridanga at Amravati is quite prominent in Maya Devi's dream. The sculpture depicting sleep of the women at Gandhara too contains Urdhvaka type of mridanga. A female is shown placing her hand on it. At Nagarjuna Kunda, the depiction of Urdhvaka type of mridanga is interesting. Sometimes mridangas are seen fastened to the stomach of the player by means of a strip. They are invariably seen being played upon by drumsticks. Muraja are smaller in size. The scene illustrating royal visit depicts a male magician playing upon it in Sanchi. The mridanga is made to dangle from his left shoulder by means of a leather strap. The best example is the panel depicting Ashoka's visit to Bodhi tree. At Bharut, Murara can be seen more than once. In the panel, Great Annunciation, a male magician plays Murajas. Another example is in the capture of an elephant by the monkeys. One interesting scene is the procession of the elephant, in which a monkey is shown dangling a muraja. A fine example of murajas can be seen at Amravati on a rail pillar, in which the music party reveals a lady playing on a muraja. In the Nagarjuna Kunda sculptures, the murajas is realistic. Mardala is made to cling from the shoulder by means of a strap. In the scene depicting the great miracle of Sambodhi at Sanchi, the malas of Kushinagar are shown celebrating. A Mardala is made to cling from the shoulder by means of a strap. The representations of Mardala at Amravati and Nagarjuna Kunda are quite alluring. At Gandhara, the star riser relief depicts a Mardala being played by a drummer with his fingers. In the sum of the panels, magicians and dancers are to be seen as many as 3 Mardalas being played upon by male drummers. At Nagarjuna Kunda, the panel illustrating a decorated Andhra stupa represents thrice being played upon by celestial beings. Kettle drum, Dandubi, these are large and used in temples and bars. At Sanchi, the transport of relics illustrates 3 spherical shaped drums. 2 of these have flat base, while the third one has flat base too. All have braces to tighten the instruments. These resembles to nagaras. The dandubis represented in relief are made to dangle by means of a strap from the right shoulder of the magicians. At Gandhara, the dandubis are quite common in association with other musical instruments and professions. At Nagarjuna Kunda, the panel illustrating the transportation of the headdress to heaven represents a dantubi, which is being played by celestial beings. Now, frame drums, duff, the century reliefs depict this type of musical instruments at many places. At Bharut, there is a solitary representation of duff in the sculptures. In one scene, the monkeys and the elephants are in procession, and a monkey plays a duff with a curved drum sticks. An example of duff can be seen at Amravati on a railing pillar. A duff plays it with curved drumsticks. It is a single-sided drum, one side of which is curved with parchment. The panel illustrating the transportation of the headdress to heaven represents a celestial playing on a dish-shaped drum. Small hand drum. It is visible in the royal visit relief at Sanchi. A male magician is shown playing upon it. Wind instruments, susira. Of the susira variety, flute, panpipe of single tube, compound panpipe, trumpet, conch and whistle occur in early Indian sculptures. Flute at Sanchi are of 2 types, transverse and end flute. Transverse flute, which appears in the reliefs, is tubular, having their sound hole in the side of the tube near the proximal end, which is closed. They have usually open stops with the varying numbers. These finger holes, tara randharas, which would be in alignment with the sound hole or mouth hole, are not visible in the reliefs. It is seen in the accompaniment of other musical instruments. In a relief of Mahakapi Jataka, a male magician plays upon a transverse flute. Thus, the scenes depicting the great miracle of Sambodhi, the return of the perfectly accomplished Buddha, Ashoka's visit to the Bodhi tree, and the royal visit depicts flutes in the parties. At Amravati, the depiction of transverse flute occurs at many places. Mandhuta Jataka is the best example. A lady attendant is seen playing it in the accompaniment of other musical instruments in musical entertainment. In the Maha Avisa Karma scene, a male magician plays on the horizontal flute. In one more panel depicting adoration of the stupa, two flutists playing an horizontal flute can be seen. A lady magician too plays on the horizontal flute. At Gandhara, this instrument appears in the relief many times. Male and female magicians, palace attendants, celestials, nagnis are playing upon this type of instrument. And the flute gets its solidarity, representation in Sanchi relief. The scene depicting the feast celebrated by the Mallas of Kushinagar illustrates a composite flute being played upon by a male magician whose dress, cap and boots reveals him to be Greek. Trumpet in the scene, the feast celebrating by the Mallas of Kushinagar. Some people look for either Shakas or Greeks, as playing upon trumpets which have their sides tapering towards a thin curved mouth, while they broadened out towards the upper end, which shaped like a swan's head. Conjugates portrayal in the Sanchi reliefs. In a scene, Ashoka's way to Bodhi tree illustrates the conch many times. At Nagarjuna Kunda, the panel depicting transportation of the headdress to heaven, nativity of the Buddha, and a sculpture fragment reveals a conch blower. The sculptural depiction of conches at Nagarjuna Kunda was also common. Solid instruments, ghana, the massive cymbals, the clappers, rattles, and bells have been included in this category. Clappers, a simple percussion sticks held in each hand and struck against each other, thereby producing sounds. In Sanchi sculptures, the Mara's army is shown holding a piece and is in the act of striking one piece with the other. Rattles. Many early historic sites like Amravati and Nagarjuna Kunda and numerous terracotta rattles are available in the form of birds and animals. Sliding rattles. The excavations at Nagarjuna Kunda yielded iron rings or copper rings. Gong. At Amravati, there is a depiction of a gong in the panel of monks adored as the gong is sounded by dwarfs. Two dwarfs are seen carrying the bar on their shoulders, evidently due to the weight of the gong, which is played with a kona. The Indian musical instruments portrayed in the sculptures of Sanchi, Bharut, Amravati, Gandhara, Nagarjuna Kunda, Mathura tries to visualize clearly innumerable varieties of musical instruments that prevailed in the Satvahana, Shunga, Eksham, Kushana, Vakataka, Guptas and northern western part of India. The throbbing society was ever ready to assimilate new, retrieval of older traditions could be assessed. Some foreign influences were also notable. Musical instruments were not invented and they developed slowly from rhythmically moving limbs, from stamping feet and slapping hands. The period under study from 2nd century to the 6th and 7th century AD was a formative period in Indian history. The contemporary literary sources of the period form a vital source in supplementing the sculptural data of the musical instruments. The musical instruments like bakura, nadi, pinka, godha, karkare, dunbugi, aghati, vanisi, gargara, etc. reflects the rich variety of musical instruments. Thanks.